Alright, hey guys, thanks for tuning in. Today's motovlog is going to be done on an R3. It's not my R3, it's my brother's R3. You know, you guys haven't seen it in a couple of motovlogs, so my brother was like, hey, why don't you take the R3 today? So, taking the R3 today. So, but anyways, today's motovlog is going to be on something that I really struggle with. It's another saying, just like the lean and clean thing that I did a couple days ago. It's something that I learned in church when I was really young. Well, younger. It's NEATS versus needs. So N-E-A-T versus N-E-E-D. So I'm going to take the whole church part out of it, and we're just going to go ahead and talk about needs versus needs. So there are things that you need in life, and there are things that are very neat in life. Like, for example, you need some way to get to work every day, but you don't need to buy a brand new motorcycle. You know what I'm saying? That's where a lot of people mess up in life, is where they don't budget correctly. And essentially this is just a budgeting video. Oh, not used to the gears on this. Essentially this is just a budgeting video, whether it's budgeting your money or budgeting your time. It's just budgeting. You have to figure out what you want to spend your time and your money on. And you want to make sure that you do it smart. So, some of the needs that I have in my life, I justify in my head as a need. And that's where I get into a lot of trouble. That's how I got into really bad credit card debt. And that's where I'm financially unstable. That's probably the most unstable part of my life is financially. I don't really think before I buy things. I just kind of do it. And it gets me into a lot of trouble in a lot of different ways, especially with my girlfriend, because I hopefully want to marry her one day. And you know, how can she marry someone that's not financially stable, someone who doesn't know how to do basic accounting, stuff like that. But yeah, really it's about figuring out what you need to survive versus what is neat to own and what will make your life happy. The tricky thing with me is I find things that fall into the need category, but I justify buying a neat item to do it. So for example, I need something to commute every day, but I own, you know, I ride a motorcycle every day. It's not something that I have to do, but it's something that I do. And a lot of people are like the same way with stuff like that. But I'm really bad with it. That's the exact reason why I have 2 cars and a motorcycle. Like, when I actually just need probably 1 car, I don't even need a motorcycle. But I keep thinking about motorcycles because this is a motovlogging channel. But it goes back to anything. Like, even with the Nintendo Switch that I bought the other day, that was totally an unnecessary item. That is 100% a need. Of course you need to be entertained in life. And of course you need, you know, some way to stay entertained and to use your spare time. But there are a lot more productive ways to do it instead of buying a neat item that costs, you know, $300 and for just the console. But anyways, like, you have to really figure out your own life and figure out what's a neat, what do you struggle with in terms of buying neats, and what do you actually need. If you do buy a motorcycle, there are a couple of neats and needs. Like, you need a helmet. You don't need a $1,000 showy helmet, but you do need a helmet. You don't need a GoPro, but it is neat to have one to do motovlogs. You need full coverage insurance. Like, that's one of those things that it's as expensive as, you know, you can, it's one of those things that you don't typically budget for, but it sneaks up as, God, what is it with all this traffic? It sneaks up as a necessity, as a need, instead of something that's just neat. But yeah, it's a really simple concept, but it can go really deep no matter what situation you're in, no matter what hobby or avenue of life you're talking about. It just goes super, super deep. And of course, it's also specific to your life. Like my needs are going to be some of your needs, and vice versa. My needs are going to be some of your needs. Man, it's kind of windy today. But yeah, you really just have to figure it out in your own life. And that's what I'm kind of challenging you to do today, because it's something that I struggle with every day, is, you know, budgeting properly. I budget my time very well in terms of productivity. I do not budget my money very well at all. It feels like I'm constantly, you know, buying needs over the needs, and it hurts sometimes. It hurts my wallet, you know, it hurts my relationship, and it just feels bad, because you get this thing that's called buyer's remorse. I don't know if you guys have ever felt that before, but it's where you regret buying something. And you know, it typically happens when you purchase the needs over something that you need. We're like, oh shoot, that $300 could have gone to something better, that $1,000 could have gone to something better. And really, it doesn't even have to be a big ticket purchase like that. It can just be, you know, buying McDonald's every day, or buying a power drink, or, you know, going shooting or riding when you can't afford it. They're needs versus needs, and really you have to find the perfect balance in your life for what is acceptable to you and acceptable with your family, your lifestyle, anything that's going on. But you definitely need to balance, and it's definitely something that takes a lot of time and a lot of skill to do properly. It takes a lifetime to do, I'm sure. But for me, it's really, really difficult to do, to balance those needs and needs. Just because I see something and I want it and I get it, you know? Like, society has trapped us into this belief that your needs and needs are the same thing. You need to buy the iPhone 8, 7 Plus, S, 361 Scorpio, PS4 with motion control. Like, you do not need that. You need a flip phone. But society teaches us that, hey, you should shame the people that still have flip phones. You should shame the people who don't have texting or, you know, data use. And it's backwards, but that's where the corporation wants you. They want you in that spot where you confuse and you associate needs and needs. And man, there's a ton of stuff that I can tell you, like a ton of examples, but really, you're probably thinking of the example in your head. Like, for me, it's the Nintendo Switch. I love playing it, and fuck yeah, I'm gonna get my money out of it, because I love video games. But I can justify it because, one, I've been doing really well financially, but two, you know, it's not something that I buy often. So there's going to be an if-then case for all of your needs and needs. But a good rule of thumb is make sure you handle all of your needs first, and make sure you handle all of your needs, like the financial cost of all of your needs, for at least 3 months. So if you lose your income for some reason, for some godforsaken catastrophe that happens, you still have enough money to purchase all of the needs for 3 months and get yourself back on your feet. The second thing that you do after you have that safety net is you try to get rid of debt. So the way that I've been tackling it is tackling my debt. At one point I had $5,000 worth of credit card debt. Right now I'm down to, like, I think $400 or something like that. Probably closer to $7 because that Nintendo hasn't posted yet. But you just tackle anything that has an outstanding balance with the highest amount of interest first. So you tackle the highest interest first, and you just keep on clicking down to less and less interest items until you're into like the big ticket items like car payments. You're into your car payments, your student loans, your mortgage. Of course you want to have all those minimum payments down so you don't accrue interest. Wow, this got really adult really quickly. You want to make sure you get rid of all of your like 25% APR stuff, or your 15%. First, like you want to put the minimum payment down on your mortgage and stuff like that, but you want to try to pay off your outstanding balance for your like high ticket items. Gosh, man, like this guy, come on, split or not. But anyways, you want to try to take off those, you want to pay down your debt before you start considering purchasing more needs. There you go, finally, thank you, Jesus. But yeah, that's kind of how I've been doing it. Of course, I'm paying my minimum payment on my student loans and on, everything that I need to. But I've gone down from $4,000 or $5,000 in credit cards to down to $400 in like 3 months, just because I've been working on that strategy. I've been doing exactly that. You cover all the minimum payments on everything, and then you pay down as much principal as you possibly can on the high interest, the high interest stuff. But honestly, if you're listening to this and you're money smart, you shouldn't get into debt. Like, do whatever you can to stay out of debt, because it's a terrible place to be, and when you're there, you're like stuck, and it sucks a lot. I think I'm gonna be late for work today, and it sucks a lot. But what I want you to do is I want you to stay as far away from that situation as you possibly can, because it's a terrible place to find yourself. And when you get into that situation, it feels like you can't get out. But I'm telling you, like, no matter how much credit card debt you have to develop a strategy to getting it down. And my strategy was, cut down on the needs, or cut down on the NEATS, even sell some of the NEATS. Like, sell all the hobby stuff that I have, and sell all the extra garbage that I don't need, and then pay down my credit card, because it was a mistake that I made because I was young and my parents didn't teach me, so I had to learn the hard way. But yeah, that's kind of what I learned. NEATS versus needs, and figuring out what you need versus what you consider neat. But it's tough because you don't want to grind through life and not have any fun, which is where I was at in college, where I was just struggling, working incredibly hard, doing a part-time job, 21 units in school. Like, I was like dying, and it was probably one of the worst places that I've ever been in my life. But I figured out how to get out of it, and I figured out what kind of person I am because of it. One of the really big things that helped me out to figure out my NEATS versus needs and budgeting properly is having a girlfriend who's money conscious. Like, my girlfriend is amazing. She's like lifted me to a higher place in my life, and she teaches me things that I don't typically think of. Like, she's like, hey, maybe you shouldn't buy that thing, maybe you should sell some of the stuff that you don't need. But for some people, a girlfriend isn't neat. For some people, a girlfriend is like poisonous. Like, it's a money pit, worse than any other money pit, because they're just using you. They're gold diggers, you know what I'm saying? But really, you gotta find the right person for you, and you gotta be in the right situation. You gotta be in the right mindset in life, and then you can really figure out what's a neat versus a need. But I challenge you to do it today. Figure out what's a neat versus a need, and just don't buy that thing that's really neat that's coming out, and just focus on the things that you need in life, and pay down whatever credit card debt you have. Save whatever money you can, save whatever safety net you can, because life is never guaranteed, and tomorrow Your situation is never guaranteed. Your stability is never guaranteed. So always be ready to plan for that kind of snake in the grass situation that bites you when you're not thinking, when you're not looking. But anyways, guys, I'm getting close to my work right now, and it's getting a little hairy up here. So thank you so much for tuning in. If you have any questions or comments about NEATS versus NEATS, or if you have some sort of budgeting advice that you can go ahead and give to viewers or to me, go ahead and post it in the comments. And until next time, guys, I hope you have a fantastic day. And until next time, peace out.